Olá pessoal, tudo bem com vocês? Eu me chamo Marcos Queiroz, para quem não me conhece. O vídeo de hoje vai ser a terceira parte de um curso básico de Vastu Shastra, que é através de alguns vídeos, que para quem já viu os outros vídeos sabe que é uma experiência, né, de desenhos que mostram assim uma mão riscando algumas informações e essas informações sendo geradas a partir de imagens e tal, orientações sobre o Vastu Shastra, né, que é uma espécie de Feng Shui anterior ao Feng Shui, na verdade, que ocorreu na Índia e que trabalha com os Vedas, todas as informações relacionadas aos Vedas e como eles têm de dicas e dados que podem nos ajudar a construir nossas habitações, as casas de um modo geral, os edifícios para finalidades diversas, né? E o tema de hoje desse curso, né, a parte 3, que por sua vez está dividida em 4 partes, né, que vocês vão ver aí logo em seguida, ele trata das leis geométricas. Então ele está cada vez mais entrando na questão de projeto, né? E que, como eu disse, vai estar dividido em 4 partes, então o próximo vídeo vai ser o último, e eu quero explicar para vocês que a demora entre um vídeo e outro é por causa da dificuldade que existe para produzir este vídeo. Na verdade, a gente traduz a legenda, né, do vídeo original. Depois que a gente traduz, a gente incorpora a legenda ao vídeo, depois a gente faz a edição dos sons, aqueles sonzinhos do lápis riscando todo, é a gente que faz, porque não tinha originalmente. Eu sinto falta de um efeito sonoro para poder ficar mais interessante o vídeo. E, além disso, a gente faz, né, as edições, né, de juntar meu comentário, etc. E tudo que... Isso leva um tempo, e por isso que a gente demorou, principalmente da parte 2 para a parte 3, a demora foi maior. Então, eu espero que vocês compreendam isso, mas depois vai estar tudo numa playlist, né? E quem não assistiu os outros dois, eu recomendo que pare este vídeo agora e vá assistir os outros dois, que eu vou deixar aqui no cardzinho o primeiro. Na nossa descrição vão estar os dois para vocês assistirem, né, indicando lá. E também eu vou deixar um link para a playlist com os 3 vídeos e futuramente, quando o outro já estiver pronto, também teremos os 4. Bom, eu depois também prometi que teria um vídeo com mais detalhes, né, depois que acabar esses 4, com mais detalhamentos, mais informações, e eu pretendo também fazer um vídeo com base nos livros que a gente tem no Feng Shui, nos estudos que a gente tem feito autodidata, né, não fiz nenhum curso fora, e pretendo também convidar pessoas, que eu já tive 2 alunos que já fizeram cursos fora, né, na Índia inclusive, e que podem fazer uma troca com a gente, quem sabe até numa live, ou talvez numa troca de informações que a gente faça, né, ou até num vídeo que eles próprios possam produzir para a gente incluir aqui no nosso canal, tá certo? Sobre esse trabalho das leis geométricas, o que eu tenho a dizer são algumas coisas interessantes. Tipo, primeiro, que a gente entra na parte de projeto em si, a gente pega uma planta, vê como que se trabalha a planta dentro de uma das proporções, como as proporções e as dimensões são importantes, levando em conta as harmonias, inclusive fazendo analogias à música, porque as harmonias musicais, elas têm proporções, desde Pitágoras a gente sabe disso, né? Por conta do monocórdio que ele dividia, e a depender da proporção que era dividido, ele conseguia acordes perfeitos, ou então harmonias ou não. E isso é trabalhado no Vastu Shastra de uma maneira bem interessante, e mostrando também como as proporções têm qualidades de campo energético diferente, e como essas qualidades podem ser utilizadas na hora de a gente definir o espaço por conta dessas proporções, não só a proporção geral do comprimento e largura, e também a altura, mas também em relação às subdivisões internas dos ambientes. Vamos ver também uma fórmula iônica, que é o perímetro sobre 8, e isso também é interessante. Vamos ver as subdivisões em para, ângula, e todas as subdivisões dentro da linguagem sânscrito, como que a gente pode falar de medidas dentro de uma unidade que eles trabalham, e essa fórmula iônica utiliza essas unidades. Tudo isso vai ser compreendido aí. E se vocês prestarem bem atenção, tem algumas tabelas aí que aparecem, e dentro do possível a gente vai colocar essas tabelas também em um formato melhor para visualizar para vocês na edição. Vocês podem ter acesso, né? A gente já tem um link, né, um drive, onde a gente tem alguns materiais em inglês do original do curso e que a gente vai colocar também na descrição desse curso aqui, o link para esse drive, para quem quiser obter esses dados. Está em inglês, mas a gente pode, dentro do possível, também incluir algumas tabelas já traduzidas, tá? Bom, então, outra questão que, só para finalizar, eu gostaria de dizer que existe uma polêmica que aparece nesse vídeo, que é a questão da posição da cabeça na hora de a pessoa dormir. A gente vê muito falar no Feng Shui que a posição norte e a posição leste são as melhores, as posições sul e oeste são as menos adequadas. Já no Vastu Shastra há uma diferença nesse sentido. A gente ouve dizer que a posição norte, né, nesse vídeo, é a menos adequada e a sul a mais adequada, a oeste mais ou menos e a leste a ideal. Aliás, a sul e a leste são as ideais para o Vastu Shastra. Então, isso é uma coisa que pode ser complicado, mas realmente, dentro de uma perspectiva como é analisado pelo Vastu Shastra, a justificativa é em relação ao fato de que nós estamos sempre com a cabeça para o norte, essa é a afirmação, considerando que nós estamos em pé, né? E em cima seria o norte, e se nós colocamos a cabeça voltada para o norte, vai haver uma repulsão, mas o que a radiestesia diz, na verdade, é diferente, né? A radiestesia diz que a cabeça é negativa e o pé é positivo, a terra é negativa, então, por uma carga de indução, o pé acaba sendo positivo e a cabeça negativa. Então, se a gente coloca a cabeça para o norte, que é positivo, acaba havendo uma integração com o campo magnético. Isso dentro do que eu sempre aprendi, dentro do que sempre eu soube, e aí eu acho que futuramente, com as conversas que nós vamos ter com as pessoas que já fizeram o curso, talvez isso seja esclarecido melhor, mas fica já a dica aí, a informação de que o que está sendo dito aí não é uma verdade absoluta. O que a gente pode dizer é somente assim, que o que é unânime é a posição leste, né? A posição leste com a cabeça é a mais adequada para os dois. Então, isso é algo que já nos ajuda, de certa forma, a ter uma compreensão em relação à superposição entre Vastu Shastra e Feng Shui. Mas aqueles que seguem mesmo o Vastu Shastra, não tem problema, porque está aí a informação que vai estar sendo dita, esclarecida no vídeo, e espero que vocês gostem. Se por um acaso gostarem, por favor, deixem um like, se inscrevam no canal e apertem o sininho para que vocês obtenham a notificação toda vez que um vídeo desse aparecer para vocês, e principalmente considerando que nós temos uma sequência de vídeos aí de um curso básico, né? Depois teremos outros cursos, outras coisas, né? Também pretendemos fazer algo parecido com Feng Shui também, e quem sabe montamos um curso mais aprofundado e que possa ser para pessoas que participem, né, e que queiram entrar num curso mais aprofundado de Feng Shui profissionalizante, tá? Então fiquem conosco para assistir a terceira parte desse curso básico de Vastu Shastra, trabalhando as leis geométricas. Tenho certeza que vocês vão gostar das informações que estão neste vídeo, que eu considero talvez um dos melhores até agora, ok? Logo depois da nossa vinheta.
Vastu uses geometrical relationships in several layers: the proportions of a building, the scale of a building, flowing patterns of energy in the house, energetic lines, meridians and energetic points or marmas, and finally, quality of the energetic field in the house. But first, we have to discuss the sound. Sound is the finest quality manifested in the universe, the quality of ether. And this subtle feature can also be transformed into gross objects. In Vastu, there is a close relationship between music and length. All spatial proportions are derived directly from the sound frequencies or tones that can be mutually combined into harmonic or dissonant intervals, just like in music. Say we have a specific length in mind. In Vastu, we can purposefully complement it to a rectangular shape with the ratio of the sides inducing exact subtle quality of our choice. This mutual harmony converted into space can be explained on the sound of sitar. There is always a basic tone present on the background, and all the following tones to the basic one are carefully prescribed how they should be played, in which proportion and rhythm, so that they result in pure harmony. I'm sure you have heard about ancient Indian ragas. They are the basis for understanding the harmonic proportions in Vastu. Suppose we are creating a space with the main dimension, let's call it the tone C. If we use the tone C as our second side, the ratio is 1:1 to the main C and we get the perfect square. The name of this proportion is Chandravati, and the subtle quality you acquire by creating such proportion is central, untamed. Here we have a rectangle, side A is again tone C, and with the ratio 128 to 135, side B equals to 0.949. This proportion in music stands for C sharp, and the subtle quality you receive in such rectangle is smooth, gentle and sympathetic. In this rectangle, with the ratio 8:9, the side B equals 0.889, which is the tone D. The name of this proportion is Roadri, and the subtle quality you receive in such space is burning, terrible. Imagine your bedroom was unknowingly built in Roadri proportion. Well, a designer can create on a conscious level or unknowingly a space that instantly evokes terrible emotions and feelings and thus destroy lives, families or health of those living in such space. It is no secret that in ancient Vedic cultures, when they were building barracks for soldiers whose function was to kill, all barracks were constructed in these dissonant proportions so that the soldiers would always be angry and upset, which made the killing routinious. Even the marches and the songs used back then began in these tones. They massaged their subconsciousness through proportion, music, and so on. Very smart indeed. This rectangle with the ratio 64:81 yields the tone E and proportion called Priti, bearing the qualities excited, in love. Who would not want to live in such space, right? This proportion with the ratio 9:19, or the tone B, is called Shobhini, with the subtle qualities irritated, upset, indecisive. I will leave you a chart with 24 different proportions currently used in the download section. Vastu used to work with 66 different tones, frequencies and energetic lines, but currently it is only 24 since people in Kali Yuga are no longer able to perceive the original 60 plus tones. They sound out of tune to us. The division of the whole tones and semitones, as we know them from the piano keyboard, is only a fraction of the primordial potential we once used. You can imagine those 66 lines stacked on top of each other like with an abacus. Each beat hanging on one thread representing one and the same frequency, but expressed in a different form. Musically as the tone B, visually as yellow color, all bearing the same energetic potential. It doesn't matter if you listen to the tone B or look at yellow color, you always receive the same type of frequency. If we continued further, there will be other beats representing yellow stones. This one will be gold or any yellow metal. On a larger scale, here comes the planet Jupiter. Above Jupiter, there's a whole galaxy, a part of the universe, and so on and so forth. Then we have tone F, black color, onyx, Saturn. The point is to be able to understand the context of how individual things are connected to each other. For example, when my positive planet is Jupiter and it is very far from the Earth at a certain moment, it may result in my lack of energy. I tend to stumble, fail at work or get sick. And at that very moment, when I'm missing the energy from my planet, I can help myself by wearing yellow clothes, a ring with yellow sapphire, or listening to some edits in B diminished to get that energy back. When you're aware of the energetic threads, you can fine-tune your energy potential with the available elements using music, color of your dress, color of your car, jewelry, interior in the house, and so on. Here is an example of a house. It doesn't exist in reality, but it will help us understand how harmonic proportions in the house are made. So this is my basic proportion, or the tone C, with the length 12 meters. I want to divide this wall into two rooms, so I split the original wall into two halves. Here I have 6 and 6 here. Number 6 is the tone C, an octave higher from the original length of 12. So I'm still in C, thus in harmonic interval. Now, I want to divide this room in this direction, and here comes the number 3. What is 3 in relation to 12? Which tone? It's still an octave ratio. 12 divided by 2 makes 6, divided by 2 again is 3. I'm still in C, only an octave higher. But here I have 2. And what is number 2? 2 is a fifth from the C with the ratio 2 to 3, or the tone G. And again, I'm in harmonic proportion to the tone C. Vastu mainly uses harmonic intervals like octave, the fourth, the fifth. We divide further, and here in this room we get the number 4, which is another harmonic proportion to the tone C. Ratio is 3 to 4, which is a fourth, or the tone F. This way, we can complement all the other dimensions of the individual rooms of the house, and we basically get a perfect sounding orchestra of proportions. And Vastu is an instrument for tuning this orchestra. We could go even further and calculate the height of the floor, size of the doors, windows, all in absolute detail and in harmony with the whole. You work hard, go an extra mile, or maybe 10, and then you get visitors. They come to your house and say, "Oh, it feels good in here." And that's all. Your effort converted into the feeling of satisfaction and harmony. And how do I get to the tone C? How do I determine the basic scale of the building? The scale of a building is calculated by using special formulas called Ayadi Shadvarga, which correlate our length scale with the cosmic scale, where individual units are octal multiples of each other and are derived from the proportions of the human body. The smallest unit of the human body scale is an angula, which is the length of the middle phalanx of the middle finger. This length can be further subdivided by 8 to get the size of a grain or java. With further octal subdivision, we will get to the smallest subatomic particle called paramanu. Thousands of years before the microscope was invented, the ancient Vedas already knew about subatomic particles. If we go the other way round, subsequent octave multiples of angula yield one pada, hasta, vyama, and kaya. One pada is the unit crucial for the calculations of the perimeter or the scale of the house and equals to 24 centimeters. With buildings we usually use Vyama, Hasta and Pada. Angula, Yava and Tila are finer proportion units rather used when making jewelry or furniture that we want to have in the harmonic proportions. Further octal multiples get us to units as large as the distances between planets or the diameter of a galaxy. Imagine the perfection, where the length of the whole galaxy is derived from the subatomic particle. Similarly to Vastu Purusha Mandala, where the body of the demigod perfectly fits the square, the human body too can be enclosed in such square. The scale based on octal multiples is not random at all. Number 8 in Vastu has a cosmic potential. Remember the 8 layers a soul has to cover with while descending to the material world? And not only that, the orientation of any Vastu building is with reference to 8 directions, 4 cardinal and 4 subcardinal points. The height of a human body is 8 times the length of the face. In music, the octave is the interval between one musical pitch and another with the double its frequency. So in Vastu, you are basically creating a symphony of proportions, a spatial orchestra. The formulas not only calculate a precise scale of a building that is in harmony with the universe, but also calibrate your building into a specific vibration or quality of your choice. But now, let's get practical and have a look at how to calculate your future house with harmonic proportions. I want a house, say, 15 by 15 meters, but I'm not sure what is the subtle quality of such a scale. In order to find out, we will use a formula called Yoni, the most frequently used calculation. Yoni formula is P divided by 8. P is the perimeter of the house expressed in padas, so I have to convert meters into padas. 15 meters, that's 1500 centimeters, divided by 24 equals 62.5 padas. That's one side of the square. Rule number 1. The perimeter of the house, expressed in padas, must come out as an integer without any remainder. Since we have a square, we only multiply this side by 4, reaching 250 padas, which is an integer, so we meet the rule number 1. Choosing a rectangle or even more dynamic shapes would make it more difficult to achieve right perimeter, but also to calculate harmonic proportions of other sides, which we discussed in the previous part. But now, back to Yoni formula. 250 divided by 8 makes 31.25. This reminder of 0.25 is absolutely essential because rule number 2 says that the octal multiple of this reminder gives us the Yoni number of the building. Our reminder is 0.25, so 0.25 times 8 is 2. A building with a perimeter 250 padas has Yoni number 2, which is not good because a building with this number resonates in a subtle quality of fear. And you don't want to be afraid in your home. We want Yoni number 1, universally positive in all directions. So the equation x times 8 must give us 1, which is 0.125. So I adjust the reminder to 0.125, and this new result multiplied again by 8 gets us to our desired perimeter in padas. 249 padas is both an integer and divided by 8 yields a reminder of 0.125, which if multiplied by 8 gives Yoni number 1. (249 padas divided by 4 gives one side of a square 62.25 padas, or our tone C, from the previous chapter. Converted back to meters, you can see that now we are only 6 centimeters shorter from the original scale, but in resonance with the whole universe. Let's try it one more time. Say we want the house 20 by 20. Step number 1 is conversion from meters to padas. Step number 2 is checking if the perimeter after conversion is an integer. Step number 3 is calculating the remainder. Step number 4 is calibrating the remainder according to our needs. In this case, it is yoni number 1. Step number 5 is to calculate new perimeter, multiplying the calibrated result by 8. And last, step number 6 is conversion of the new perimeter from padas back to meters. This harmonic proportion fixed into the perimeter of our house will serve as the basis for calculating all subsequent proportions inside. It is important to mention that when calculating the perimeter of the house, or yoni number, the axis of the wall is taken into account as the energetic center of gravity. If your wall is, say, 40 centimeters, your desired tone C is measured from here to here. Perfectionists calculate yoni from the exterior and interior separately, but in most cases the axis of the wall is used. Bear in mind that even a thermal insulation of a house changes the thickness of the wall and thus the size of the house itself, so it is practical to think about it in advance. There are 8 yoni numbers to choose from. We used yoni number 1 because it is the most often used one, favorable in all directions, possessing a spiritual character, leading people to God, and giving you success in all aspects of your life. If you used yoni number 2, you would achieve the quality of fear in such space. But as soon as you use number 3, you reach peace and quiet. Yoni number 4 brings up quarrels. Yoni number 5 has a quality of wealth and fame. Yoni number 6 adds up instability. With 7, we achieve well-being, but yoni number 8 means problems with the family. Note that all even yoni numbers are negative, and you should avoid such scale of a house. Circular buildings are not suitable for residential purposes, only as temples maybe. The circular shape is too dynamic, unstable for human. You don't know where the front is and where's the back, but once you are in a square space, you calm down. It is therefore not practical to have dynamic, winding spaces or sharp angles. Everything that is sharp and spiky multiplies the fire energy in the space. So at least in the southeast, where the kitchen should be, try to avoid sharp angles and corners here. Kitchen and bedroom should be in a square layout. Rectangular bedroom, although in harmonic proportions, is not suitable because a person sleeps best in a perfect square. Food should also be prepared in an energetically precise space and of course with love. When talking about sleeping, it is very important which direction your head is. The best is east, then south, west, and the worst is the north. Head towards the east, the best position, unlocks the spiritual approach. The principle is based on the fact that you have naturally north in your head, and when you sleep with your head towards north, repulsive forces against the magnetic field of the earth or jiva energy take place, so your lymphatic system, meridian flows and energy flows are disrupted. and you can develop various mental problems, allergies, or even more serious things. But for sure, head towards the north causes restless sleep. As soon as you sleep towards east, your right hemisphere is flooded with prana. The right hemisphere is in charge of emotions and spiritual things. So these qualities are awakened in you during the sleep. Head towards the south triggers healing processes. In hospitals, all patients should have their heads to the south in order to recover quickly. Your head towards west may trigger an exaggerated materialism, rampant attachment to material things. When you sleep towards west, prana triggers your left hemisphere, the male principle is initiated, so you look at the world through false mind intelligence and you cultivate the material attachment within yourself. Round hobbit houses buried underground with the round windows come to my mind now. Well, according to Vastu, the earth element has immense energetic potential. But if you are buried underground without the access to prana and jiva, then what's the point? These types of buildings are built and spread by people who have emerged from the lower planetary systems to our planetary system. These people have been accustomed to living underground, and they are spreading this culture on Earth. Let's talk about flowing patterns of energy in the house. There is an energy network in every building. Vastu Purusha Mandala creates a grid of 9 by 9 quadrants. These lines are energetic flows or meridians through which fine energy is distributed within the building. The intersections of these lines are considered marma points, very sensitive spots just like in acupuncture. A practitioner connects two meridians in a precise spot with a needle, joining sick and healthy meridian, which then harmonize each other. The four strongest points, Maha Marma points, are at the intersections of the basic 3 by 3 grid. From a practical point of view, if there is any defect in the house, a yantra placed on any of these 4 points will spread the healing energy throughout the house. The square floor plan is very practical because you can immediately estimate the energy flows, meridians and marmas. These 4 main points should not be loaded with walls or furniture at any cost. They must stay free. Even the walls delimiting the central part of the house dedicated to Lord Brahma should not go along the meridians, but next to them from outside or inside. Ideally, none of the walls should be placed on any of the meridians, which is way more complicated, I give you that. Now we are moving from the geometric part to the informative part, where specific functional areas are defined within the house.
Então, pessoal, esse foi o vídeo que vocês viram aí. Como eu disse, é um vídeo bem prático, já mostrando dicas bem diretas sobre o projeto, né? Cada vez mais isso vai acontecer porque a gente vai precisar utilizar todo esse conteúdo teórico, energético, informações relacionadas a orientações, informações relacionadas às proporções para a prática da arquitetura, para a prática do projeto, da elaboração de ambientes, né, e tal. Então eu espero que vocês tenham gostado e mais uma vez eu peço a vocês que, se gostarem, deixem um like, se inscrevam no canal e apertem o sininho para ter as notificações dos próximos vídeos que nós tivermos no canal, tá certo? Então, um grande abraço e até o próximo vídeo.